Hello, everyone. This is Jonathan Galt. I am joined by Weldon Johnson. We will have Robert Johnson with us in a minute. Just finished up the Chicago Marathon Elite press conference on Friday afternoon. This is going to be our Supporters Club Friday 15 podcast episode. So thank you if you're listening as a member of the Supporters Club. But we're also going live around the world to offer our freshest takes on the 2025 Bank of America Chicago Marathon, and also the very exciting development, Friday bombshell, Femke Bol, the two-time world champion in the 400-meter hurdles, is moving up to the 800, starting now. Super exciting development. This is probably a fantasy for many Let's Run fans to have a world-class 400 hurdler in their prime move up to the 800 and see what she can actually do. Can't wait to dig into all of that with you guys. This is John the Galt, joined by Robin and Weldon Johnson. Gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good to be here, John. Good to be here. You're watching this live on YouTube. Well, kudos to you, because right now, if you're watching live, it's not on the homepage of Let's Run, and we put it up 10 minutes ago. You're the hardest core of the hardcore, but you see this later on Let's Run, and you want it as a podcast. We now have a QR code up there. Not sure how you can click on the QR code on your phone, but go to letsrun.com/subscribe. Join today. Let's get this show started, John. We're world famous. My wife just got back from business trip to Asia, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Tokyo. And the CEO of her company, I'm like a legend in his eyes now. The husband of one of her coworkers was at the Let's Run meetup in Tokyo, and somehow this randomly came up. So we're now titans in the industry throughout the world. My self-esteem and ego have never been bigger. It's Rojo level ego right now. So let's have a great show. John, and you were telling us some of the insights you learned. I think this one's going to be great. Excited about today's show.
I'm excited too. I got to ask Robert, what are you more excited about though, Chicago or the Femke Bol news?
Why would I be excited about Femke Bol? This happens all the time where people give up their main event to move up in distance. Jeremy Warner did it. Just kidding. I'm excited about Femke Bol, but I'm more excited about Chicago. Jackob Kiplimo versus John Korir. It doesn't get much better than that. We've got, this is a heavyweight fight. You got Korir. He won Chicago last year. He won Boston this year. He said he wants to run under 201. If you're going to run under 201, though, shouldn't you might as well break the world record? You got Jackob Kiplimo, marathon number 2, telling John he's in better shape, apparently. Also, refusing to answer some questions that John asked him. So we'll get into that. We'll get into Femke Bol. I've coached. My coaching was so good back when I was at Cornell. I had a number of 400 guys, hurdle guys begging for me to move them up so they could come under my tutelage. I have expertise on that as well. All right, John. What did you learn? I always say, it's not cheap to fly out to these races. What did you learn from being in person that you didn't know before landing in Chicago and not spending thousands of dollars?
Yeah. The John Korir thing, him confirming he wants to run at a 201, we kind of already had an idea he wanted to be in that ballpark. I did talk to his coach, Ron Mann. They're hoping to go out around 60-30 for the first half. So hearing him say that, and he's feeling very confident about where he's at. It's good to know. And I imagine Kiplimo wouldn't commit to going with it, but I'd have to think Kiplimo is going to go with that pace, because he was saying, his first marathon, he was kind of tentative. He was worried about just even finishing the race, which kind of tells you how much respect he's giving the marathon. This guy's the half marathon world record holder, and he's still thinking about, I don't want to totally blow up. But he said he's upped his mileage for this one. He said 250 kilometers a week, which is like 155 miles a week. I tried to clarify, is that your average mileage, or is that what you're peaking at? He's like, no, I was doing a few weeks of that. So he's done a lot of volume. He feels like he's responded to it well. And I expect him to run faster than he did in London, which is 2:03:30 something. So that's going to be interesting up front. And then TBD whether anyone else is going to go with it, or if there's going to be a group at 61 or 61:30. But I think the thing I got from being here that I wouldn't have otherwise is talking to a couple of the top women in the field. One of them is Ejkeahu Taye, who very good track runner, has run 14:12, 29:50 on the track. She was just 5th at the World Championships in the 10,000, bronze in the 5 and 10 at the 2023 Worlds. And I thought it was interesting she's making her debut because she started out this season by running Grand Slam track in Kingston and then kind of took a break from the track and then pops up at Worlds. Now she's running Chicago. So thanks to the translating help from Hannah Borenstein, I was able to sort of get a sense of what exactly is going on. It's pretty wild. I said, when did she decide to run Chicago? And the first answer I got was 4 months ago. But it actually turns out, no, 4 months ago, she had decided to run Berlin. And then right before Berlin, the Ethiopian Federation calls up and says, hey, we want you to run the 10,000 meters at the World Championships. Berlin's going on, during the World Championships. So she pivots. She's all right, I'll run Worlds, and then I'll just do Chicago instead of Berlin. So she's been doing marathon training this whole summer pretty much, and it had been geared towards Berlin, but then they had to adjust, and now she's doing Chicago. So she didn't give any sort of sense in what kind of shape she's got in or what she's targeting, but she's a top talent. She's run 64:14 for the half. It's just kind of wild that that's the situation she has leading into this race.
I just want to shout out to my friends in Chicago, Artie, Supporters Club member, everybody else. I had a great time there last year. I'm upset that I'm not there this year because beautiful weather. It's a nice city. And the interpreter, Hannah, is amazing. I mean, she's American and she speaks like perfect English, perfect. I mean, she's like as white as me. And then she's a big running fan, so she can get these people to answer the questions in a way that you don't get at other majors. So she should be at all of the majors, in my opinion. But
just to clarify, Robert, about this Taye situation, she was announced for Chicago back in the middle of August when they debuted the field. So maybe the switch came 2 months ago, but I think initially the plan had been for her to run Berlin.
And you're seeing right there why we're talking about one of the reasons like why Western athletes are doing so well. And I do think part of the story is the Western athletes sort of have their act together. Almost everyone in the West now is doing high-low training, altitude training, great coaching. 25 years ago when we founded Let's Run, Weldon was one of a handful of people that had good coaching in this country, really elite coaching. Now, thanks to the internet, almost everyone does. But like our federation, love them or hate them, they pretty much stay out of the way. They don't force athletes they don't do dumb things. They don't make dumb selection processes. They don't tell someone you have to run the Worlds when they're getting ready for Berlin. So that's just kind of wild. Like, I mean, maybe they knew Ethiopia was in trouble, but does 5th place really do anything for Ethiopia? She didn't medal, but she was in good shape. And I'm excited to see what she can do. I mean, where does she rank all time on the world 5,000 meter list? If this was, 14:12, right, John?
Yeah, she's 9th full-time in 5K, 14th in the 10K, and 8th in the half marathon. So really impressive PBs.
So, I don't know. I mean, if this was a man, it would be the equivalent of what'd you say in the 5,000?
9th.
Well, guess who 8th all time in the 5,000 is? Jackob Kiplimo.
Oh, Kiplimo. Okay.
Well, Grant Fisher's indoor time is what?
12:44.
That would place him 11th. So it would be pretty exciting, actually, if Grant Fisher was making a debut, right? So.
Yeah. So she's obviously one to watch. And then the other woman I was able to talk to through the interpreter was Megetu Alemu. And this was through a different interpreter, actually, because I think there's different kind of dialects. But anyway, this was the woman who won Valencia last year. She was 4th in London. She's run 2:16:34. She's the top seed from Ethiopia. She's only run once this year, and it was DNF in London in April. So I just wanted to get the scoop, like what's going on? Why'd she drop out? She said she was sick in London. I don't know if it was kind of hard to tell if she had an adverse reaction to some medication or she was just ill in general, but that's why she dropped out and hasn't raced since. She said she just wanted to focus on building up for Chicago, but feels really good about it and is hoping to run about 2:15 on a great day, maybe under 2:15, but she felt like she's in a good spot, and I feel like you run 2:15 against this field is probably going to be enough to win.
All right, let's make a big, bold prediction. You ready to hear it? I know who's going to win the 2025 Bank of America Chicago Marathon on the women's side. It will be someone from Ethiopia.
Yeah, Robert, I was looking at the elite field and I kind of made a list of like potential winners. I think there's only 4 women under 220. They're all Ethiopian. And then Taye, the big debutante, is also Ethiopian. So I think that's a safe bet.
I mean, I think that if Maria Chiolemo is ready to run 2:15, I mean, what's the fastest debut in history? Like that would be a tall order for Taye to do that.
Yeah, I think the fastest debut I can remember is Gide running like 2:16 in Valencia in 2022. So, like I said, I think if Alema runs 2:15, that will probably win.
Did you get a chance to talk to any of the females, any Americans, excuse me, any American women?
I did. I talked to Dakota Popane, who was very optimistic. She said that she's been running so well in practice. She feels very confident and is ready for a big PB. And I thought it was interesting because her last 2 races haven't gone that great. She was 11th at the Olympics last year, but then she bounces back and runs New York in the fall and finishes 17th there. And okay, you're running New York, you're bouncing back from your big race of the year. Maybe not everyone can do that all that well. But then in Boston in April, she was only 16th place in 2:26.09. And that was her fastest time on the course. But, 16th, when you're 11th at the Olympics, you hope to finish a bit higher than that. But she said all her training's been going really well. She ran a nice 67:42 in the half marathon in August in the Antrim Coast Marathon in Northern Ireland. So that is, that's quite encouraging. And she said in practice, she feels like 5:20 mile pace has felt like recovery pace to her. And 5:20 mile pace is 2:19.44 marathon pace. So her PB right now is 2:24 from 2023 in Chicago. She says that she's hoping to run 2:20 or faster. I think she's going to go out around 70 minutes. She'll have Tyler Jaman, who's one of her teammates from Minnesota, to run basically the whole way, ideally. She said she's been doing every step with him in practice, and the weather looks good. So she's feeling really optimistic.
Yet again, Jonathan Galt bearing the lead. If I had been in Chicago, I would have hyped it up. We got an American ready to break 2:20. Guess who it is? No, look. Your criticism of her New York race is absurd. She ran amazing in the Olympics. I mean, 11th was like, let's go back to the Olympic trials when she made the team. I mean, this was the third placer. The top 2 were way ahead. Who's going to get third? And Dakota Lindworm did it. I mean, she came into that race with a 2:25 PB, 2:24.40 PB, actually from 2023 Chicago. And then she makes the Olympic team. But, New York doesn't matter to me because it was right after the Olympics. That's fine.
But I feel like I made that point too, but
okay. The 67-minute, I mean, she's been getting faster at the other events. I mean, last year she ran 68:04 before the Olympics. So June 22nd, she went 68:04. She goes to the Olympics. She gets 11th. And now she's taken another 20 seconds off that and runs 67:42. As a former 67-minute half marathoner myself, look, that's no guarantee of a 2:20. I never broke 2:20. I think I was like a 67:13 was my half. I kind of thought my best shape. I got actually hurt and couldn't run Chicago. I was like, okay, maybe I could break 2:20. 67:40. but she's probably a better marathoner than I am, and the super shoes I also think are making it easier to get the 26.2 mile distance. So she's certainly in the ballpark. It would be cool if this woman, you know, who I mean, it's really wild. Like, right, her 5,000-meter PB in college, is this right? 16:43? She's gonna run a marathon at that pace? Like, 16:43 is 5:20 pace, correct?
Yeah, I mean, she hasn't. I think she finally broke 16. Maybe she did as an en route split somewhere. Like I don't think she'd done it as a pro either because she kind of moved to the roads. But yeah, no, we talked about it when she made the team. This is a walk-on D2 runner who played hockey in high school, and then she becomes an Olympian, and then she finishes 11th at the Olympics. So it's really inspirational.
Right. This is one of the where your dreams become reality stories of the sport. That's why people loved it when she made the team. But guys, right, when she made the team, we weren't thinking, oh wow, she's gonna go on and run faster than Dina Castor. I mean, if she can really run sub 220, I think it shows two things. One, the game has changed tremendously. But also, like, she's just doing it for everyone who dreams out there and keeps it alive because our motto is where your dreams become reality. But the people who usually, run sub 220, that sort of stuff, they were the superstars in high school or college, usually at some point. Maybe you hope to sneak on a team. I never did it. She did. But then you don't usually become like better than the legends just a generation before you. But uh, it sounds very encouraging.
Eh, this is what isn't this the 20th anniversary, John, of Dina Castro winning Chicago? I thought I saw something like that yesterday. But,
believe
no,
so,
it's
yeah.
amazing. I just actually looked up I just went to the pace calculator. You put her college PB, that pace, run it for a full marathon, 2:21:04. So, this is wild, wild if she does it. So, congrats to her. Alright, let's turn to the men's race. We knew coming in, you'd already talked to Careers Camp, and they said, like, "Look, he wants to go out in 60-30." He confirmed that today. It sounds like Kiplimo says he's in better shape, but, I mean, who are you taking? Who after talking to these camps today, who are you more confident in? On the Let'sRun.com prediction polls, who wins the 2025 Chicago Marathon? 44% are saying Jackob Kiplimo, 36% are saying John Korir, 19% are saying other, and I don't think that's right. Like, before London, I was like, Kiplimo could be the greatest marathoner ever. He could be the guy that breaks two. That still could be true, but I don't see how he could be the favorite in this race. Korir has proven himself on this course. He's been on fire. The coaches are talking well. Like, he's know what he's done in the past. He's upped it to another level. I think he deserves to be the favorite. Do you agree with me?
I have him as my favorite, yeah. And look, if you go into a race talking about I think I can break 201, you must think you're in phenomenal shape. Okay, he ran 202.44 last year. He thinks he's in a lot better shape than that. So, and he looked great in winning in Boston. I mean, he made that amazing move up Heartbreak Hill, and yeah, he didn't. It's not like he totally powered away from everyone after that. He basically just got this big gap and kind of held it. But no, he's my favorite. I do think ultimately Kiplimo probably has a higher ceiling in the marathon just because Kiplimo, and that seems wild to say of a guy who thinks he can run 2:00 something on Sunday, but Kiplimo's a lot younger and he's got that ridiculous half marathon PB, 56:42. But yeah, would it shock me if Kiplimo just, Korir tries to run 2:01 flat, Kiplimo hangs on and then just pulls away with a few miles to go? No, but I do have Korir as my favorite because he's more proven in the marathon.
Are we not giving Kiplimo his due? I mean, part of the thing with the times just going through the roof at all these distances is we kind of lose track of these outliers. He ran 56:42 for the half marathon.
This
The
year,
number two time right now is 57:30. I mean, that's nuts. That's 48 seconds faster. That's just so crazy. Now, Granted, he ran a marathon after that and got beat, but in London, but I think his ceiling's way higher than Kiplimo's. I mean, excuse me, than Korir's.
It can't be way higher. If Korir is a 201 flat guy, I mean, what is way higher? Like we're sort of at the limits of human potential, right? I mean, even I guess 2 or 3 seconds a mile would be a minute faster in a marathon, but
I mean, Korir is a 202.44 guy right now. But look, if Korir run, we've talked about it as Kiplimo being possibly one of the candidates to break 2 in a legal race. So I think that's on the table still. And everything he said about his debut in London is that he was like cautious, and he said he got cramps towards the end of the race, and everything was careful. He just didn't want it to go badly. This one, I think he's loosening the reins a little bit. He's going to try to see what he can do. He bumped up the mileage, so I expect a jump from London. The question is that going to be a jump to 202 flat? Is it going to be a jump to 201? What's he going to do? But he's going to find out, because he's got one of the best marathons in the world to really test him. And he's, in Korea.
I'm looking at the all-time list in the half marathon here. I mean, back in the day, we had Mr. Who was the guy, John? I'm blanking on that. Zursanete. He was amazing at the half and not great at the full. And I'm looking at the all-time list here in the half marathon. I guess a lot of these guys haven't run a marathon. There's only 7 guys that have broken 58 minutes. Jackob Kiplimo, 1 marathon, went pretty well. Jomif Kajelcha hasn't run a marathon. Kibiwat Kandie, Hagos Gebrhiwat, Ronex Caputo, Selman Barrega. So I guess most of these guys haven't run a marathon. But if you look at the last guy on that list, Alexander Matuso, he's the fastest of them besides what was Kiplimo's time in London, John?
203.37 or so.
So we're like complaining about a 203.37 debut.
Who's complaining about that?
That's pretty wild. Anyways, Matiso's run 203.11, but I guess there's kind of word for caution in the sense of Jeffrey Cammore, 8th all time. I mean, I guess he's won 2 majors. He's actually in this field in Chicago this year, former world cross country champion, former world record holder in the half. He's never really ripped the fast marathon like we thought he would. His PB is 204.23. So I guess I don't know why I'm the one sort of saying let's be cautious about Kiplimo. I mean, he ran 203 in the debut. He's been running more. But I just think this is the heavyweight of heavyweight fights, and this should be really enjoyed. Hopefully they go at it. Hopefully they rip it. But do we know what the second pace is going out at? This might be the pace for Conor Mantz and these guys. And I added this to your story. I'm like, look, if I'm coaching these guys, there's a number of other people in this field that have run fast. I mean, the Chicago men's field is extremely impressive, right? Extremely impressive. You've got the 2 heavy hitters up front, but then you've got Amos Caputo, 203.13, Cyprian Kotet, 203.22, Bashir Abdi, 2-time Olympic medalist, 203.36, Kiplimo, Philomen Kiplimo, who's run 204.1 in Hamburg, Jeffrey Cammore, Seifu Tura, who's run Chicago in the past, another guy from Ethiopia, S has run 204. I mean, it's sick. But I said, and I added this to your article, I'm like, look, if I'm coaching these guys, everybody not named Kiplimo, everybody not named John Korir, they need to go in the second pack. And like, if Kiplimo and Korir are on their A games, no one's touching that. No one else in this field is running 201 flat. So why go out and then do your marathon fade? I would go out no faster than 61:30 if I'm in the second group. And best way to run the marathon is even split or slight negative split. Try to pick it up from that. But do we have a sense of what the second pack's going to go? Who's going to go with it? I assume most of these 203, 204 guys will go with a fast pace, but I think that's a huge, huge mistake. But I guess they're making a winner bust. No,
I agree with your logic, Robert, on that one. Yeah, it's kind of TBD, because I was talking to Mantz and to Rory Linkletter, who was targeting the Canadian record, which is also the North American record, 205.36 by Cam Levins, 2 seconds faster than Khalid Khannouchi's American record. And it seemed like Rory thought, there would be a group going out about 62, flat, 62, somewhere in the 62 flat to 62.30 range. And he said that's the one he wants to go with because, he went out sub 62 in Boston and hung on pretty well. And he kind of thought he expected Mantz to go with that group. I think Ed Eyestone wants Mantz to go with that group as well, but he was also like, you never know with Connor. Like, sometimes he just takes a really big swing. But I was basically asking, like, Connor is not going with the Kiplimo or with the Korir group. Like, the 60-30 one, he's very clear, like, that's too rich for my blood, which, good. He's sensible about it. The question is there going to be, like, a third group kind of in between those two that tries to go out in, like, 61-30? I don't know. Rory's like, yeah, I kind of feel like there has to be, because he was looking at these guys like Timothy Kiplagat, 202 guy, like you said, Amos Kibrito, Cyprian Kotuk, these 203 guys. He's like, I think they'd kind of be crazy to go out at 60-30 pace. But at the same time, if you're going to have like say you have the Mantz group goes at like 62 flat or 62-15, there's not much difference between that and a 61-30. Like, they're not going to be separated by very much in the early miles. Those groups would have a tendency to, like, jam together. So I do wonder if it just ends up being two groups, one at 60-30 and one at, like, 62 flat.
Correct, because that's the problem. It's only, like 3 seconds a mile, 4 seconds a mile ends up being a minute over the half. So that's what, if I was them, I would make it clear. And I think they need to do this at a technical meeting. Kerry Penkowski, like, we're going to have one group go 60-30, and then we'll have another group go 62, because otherwise it's going to be too close. So, but I actually think most of those elite guys will go out with that 60-30, which is a mistake, and then fade. And then will there be a third group? I mean, it seems like everybody who's ever run for BYU is in this race. So are they going to go out?
Yes, there will be a third group. Probably, if I had to guess, it would be 64 flat. Again, that's something that'll be sorted in the technical meeting. But I talked to Ryan Ford, who ran 208 flat in Boston and was formerly of Zap Endurance, is now with the On Athletics Club. He said he'd like to go out around like 64 flat. And Casey Klinger, who's making his debut, who has finished 5th and 6th in the 10,000 at USA's the last couple of years, I think that's a split he would like. He's like, yeah, I'd love to see some other guys around that kind of pace. So I expect there will be a group of, people going out at around 64 flat, the third group.
Wait, John, what was the exact split for the Mantz Linkletter group?
There isn't an exact split given. Like, Rory said he expected it would be somewhere between 62 flat and 62-30. When I talked to Ed Eyestone earlier this week, he said he'd be comfortable with Mantz going out between 62 flat and 62-15. So I think it'll be somewhere in the 62 to 62-30 range, but these things aren't sorted until the technical meeting on Saturday.
And Robert, what's your concern about them getting two together? Like, I think Mantz is pretty smart. He's not going to go out in 60-30. So what's your concern?
No, my concern is if you try to have three groups, they're going to be too close together. So I think there's only going to be two elite groups. There's going to be a 60-30 group, and there should be a 62 flat. And let's appreciate 62 flat. I mean, the American record is 205.38. So 62 flat is still a minute and a half over that. And we talked about it on the regular podcast, like, could he run 203? I was kind of scoffing at it. I mean, is it possible he runs 203.59? I think it is. Do I think it's going to happen? No. Again, the fastest that basically anyone who's not been accused of doping or wasn't born in Africa has ever run it on planet Earth is 204.56. So for him to beat that by a minute would be extremely impressive. It's 4 seconds a mile. But I do think Connor Mantz is made for the marathon. And I really think he's had no hiccups here in this build up. He's 28? Is that what you said?
He's 28. Yeah, he's got everything going in his favor. He's been healthy.
This is when you hit full send and right. you send it.
And well, I don't know if you can cue the clip up, but essentially I was asking, Connor about some comments that Ed Eyestone made when I talked to him earlier this week. Ed was saying, I think we might swing for the fences a little bit more than we had in previous races. And so I asked Connor, the American record, that's a goal, but he's already run 30 seconds faster than the American record in Boston. Just wasn't record eligible. And I think most people would agree Chicago with these conditions is going to run faster than Boston did in April, which had a little bit of a headwind. So I asked him, do you think about going faster than that? And he said yes.
I would like to, if everything feels right, I would like to be able to go through 18 miles at a pace where if I needed to pick it up, I could break 204. But there's so many variables, and that's kind of that's high hopes.
I think he said it well. So I think that sort of indicates, you got like 62:15, 62:30. Well, 62:30 would probably be pretty hard to come back. I mean, my gosh, 61:30. Yeah, I think you just go out around 62 minutes, see what happens. But we had this whole discussion on our regular podcasts on Tuesday. Like, this Khalid Khannouchi record has been there for 23 years now. It's sort of crazy. It's now, what, 140th fastest ever in the world or something? What is the number?
I think it's 181st.
I had it on the regular podcast. It's even worse than I thought. And I'll play this other clip from Mantz. I mean, the American record's out there, but the time is so soft now. As we just pointed out, Cam Levins would be the American record holder. Rory Linkletter's talking about breaking this time, but he also realized he's got to beat Mantz if he wants to be the North American record holder. And Mantz said he's been thinking about the American record, ever since he first started running, but now his sights are higher.
Oh man, the American record, it's really been on my mind since before I ran my first marathon. I wasn't going for it then, but it was on my mind. I'm going to go for it one of these times. So now it kind of just feels natural. I mean, I didn't make it public, that it was in my mind until after Boston, because everybody knows after Boston I'm going to go for it. So,
look, it's time for this to go. We got to be excited about this. It needs to be obliterated, and it's going to be obliterated. But how did Galen Rupp never hit full send? Did he ever go for it? I mean, how did Galen Rupp and Mo Farah ever get the times?
He did go for it in Chicago in 2018 and just fell short. I think Mo ran, I think it was like 208, sorry, 205. I want to say 18 was the winning time there. So, he was, and these were like version 1 of the super shoes, and now we're on like version 3 or something. But
the thing is also, you talked about it. He's run already faster in Boston. Let's don't forget Ryan Hall. Was that 2011? 204.58 in Boston. Now, he had a hurricane behind him. But was the hurricane worth more than the super shoes? Probably worth 3 minutes at the time. It's probably similar to the super shoe.
Yeah, Ryan Hall ran 206.17 in London without super shoes. That's like a 204 flat or something, 204 with the shoes. So Ryan Hall, you put 2008 Ryan Hall in this field, he crushes the American record.
So if he's 204 flat, that's, again, I think there's like a genetic component here, but I don't. So yeah, 203 high would be doable. It's unlikely to me. I think Ryan Hall at his peak was a better marathoner than Conor Mantz. He was mixing, I guess, although I'm saying that because, I remember waking up one time at like 3 a.m. and turning on the London Marathon. There was Ryan Hall in the lead at 30K, but Mantz was battling it out for third place in Boston, and the guys that he was battling it out with have all run 202, 203. One of them just won world. So,
yeah,
very exciting.
Was 4 seconds away from finishing second in Boston. Ryan Hall, his best finish is 5th in London, 4th in New York, 3rd in Boston, 4th in Boston, 5th in Chicago, 4th in Boston. So he only made one World Marathon major podium, but he did actually, he finished 4th and 5th a few times. And Mantz is getting to that level. Mantz was 4th in Boston, but just missed out on finishing second. And yeah, if he runs 203, I mean, it still might not be good enough to get him on the podium in Chicago. So it's going to be interesting. But he's getting to that point. If he can, his best finish, he was 6th in New York, 4th in Chicago. If you say he's now in his prime, maybe after a few more years of this, you could say he's at the same level as Ryan Hall. Right now, he's still going to give it to Hall.
One thing about Mantz, I mean, you could say, well, the talent has to match, but he always thinks big. I was looking back at this. Remember, we spoke to him, I think it was before his half marathon debut. I was trying to figure out where this was. It was the U.S. Half Marathon Championships in Hardyville, South Carolina. Still not even sure where that is. He was like, I may break Ryan Hall's record. At the time, like Ryan Hall's record was like what? Like this was in 2021. So this was the legendary 59:43. Like it was like 13 years old. What? I can't remember when that record was.
14 years old. Come on.
14 years old. And yeah, so now he's just not like, oh, I'm going to sneak in there and run 205 high. He's like, can I run 203s? And I think, that's a possibility how it's, if Khannouchi wants to have his record on Monday morning, he should encourage Mantz to run as fast as he can that first half, because that's the way you don't get the record. But the sport has evolved. Connor's not content to just like break an American record, which is crazy because this record has lasted for 23 years.
Khannouchi wants this thing to go, though. I was talking to David Monti. He talked to Khalid Khannouchi, who apparently has lived in Morocco for some time at this point. He was here in the race. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but he just said, yeah, it's well past time that someone breaks this record.
I guess it's controversial talk about immigration, John. John's probably got no problem with someone moving from Morocco, making their name here, getting citizenship, and then moving back home.
I don't have a problem with it as a dual citizen myself. I do find it a little odd that he ran for Morocco until he was about 30, moved to the United States, ran for the United States for a few years, became a citizen, and then moved back to Morocco. But again, like, would it be a problem if I lived in England and I moved over here and then moved back to the US, to the UK? I don't know. I don't really mind, but I was like, oh, it's kind of weird that you'd move over, become a citizen, and then move back. But people can live their own lives.
The financial opportunity was much bigger here. And then he's from Morocco, it's home, and it's like he can live like a king there from what he saved up. Whereas stuff's a lot more expensive if he wants to live in the United States. Makes sense to me. I can see why people might want to criticize it or something, but to each their own. John, you're being called a globalist here in the comments. That's usually not, for whatever reason, we're all citizens of the world. I think when someone throws out the term globalist, it's never a compliment, John.
All right. Is there anything else we need to be talking about Chicago? I'm kind of excited to see some of these young guys from the BYU guy that was like 12th NCAA cross last year running it right now. Just pop out.
Reed Thompson. Yeah, he was 12th at NCAA cross. Still has track eligibility at BYU. Jared Ward did this when he was in college, and I feel like even Clayton Young and Connor Mantz were considering doing it. But yeah, he's jumping right in, which I love. Casey Klinger, who was top 10 at NCAA cross last year, number one man on the title team, he's running it. Matthew Centrowitz is running it, though I don't think seriously. But there are two things I wanted to get to before we move to the bowl discussion. One of them is Galen Rupp. We'll talk about him in a second. Then just the other thing I thought was an interaction that I had at the end of the interview with Kiplimo, because I asked him about his race and all his prep and everything. And then at the end, one of the things, the storylines to me about this race is like the shadow of Ruth Chepngetich. She set her world record here last year. And then, as we know, she's been provisionally suspended for testing positive for a masking agent. She really hasn't offered any sort of explanation or said anything about that, but she's not back in Chicago this year. And that's the fifth athlete represented by Federico Rosa, the agent, to have won a world marathon major and then subsequently been suspended. So Jackob Kiplimo's agent is Federico Rosa. And I wanted to ask him, does it concern you that he's had so many athletes test positive? And as soon as I said the word agent, he's got someone over his shoulder sort of snapping his fingers and like letting them know, you don't have to answer this question. That's fine. Like Jackob gave a polite response. He politely declined to discuss it. But I don't know. It was weird because most of the other athletes, they're standing there or whatever. Jackob had like a whole entourage of his coach and someone who I presume was with his agency. And then also Robert Lotwis with Nike. So Weldon, I think, has got the clip. He can show you that interaction.
John, this is so good. I just watched this. Having trouble exporting it, so I'm going to play it from YouTube. This is great. You guys got to see this.
I wanted to ask you a question. Your agent has had a lot of athletes suspended. I'm just curious if you would, does that concern you at all?
the number of athletes he's had suspended?
I think about that I cannot explain. I think maybe I cannot explain about that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jacob.
Oh my God. We need to make ourselves the center of this story. That's unbelievable. Those of you listening on the Supporters Club podcast, you don't see the audio, you need to see the video clip. You see people in the background treating him like a child and hitting him on the shoulder and like notifying him that he can't answer this question. This is unbelievable. There's no journalism left. Like, this is a totally legitimate question. Good for you. 5 world marathon majors have been suspended by the same agent. That's a joke. Like, these people just keep expecting us to be fooled. Like, and to be honest, I never respected Khalid Khannouchi's record because I heard a lot of rumors too about him. I have no proof, but it's just time after time after time. When they don't get popped, we're supposed to celebrate it. And when they do get popped, we're supposed to still not ask about it a year later. So this is a joke. Like, well, I should have gone to Chicago. I mean, last year, 18 members of Kenyan parliament went off about me and said I asked a ridiculous question when a woman ran a 2:09 marathon. I said, hey, people are going to think this time is too good to be true. What would you say to them? What are you going to say to them, Ruth? And then 18 members of Kenyan parliament said, I accused her of doping. I didn't. Andy Murphy directly accused her of doping. Yeah, in the back of my mind, was I wondering if she was doping? Yes. I thought it was very unusual that someone who claimed they were self-coached was running minutes better than everybody else in the world. Some woman from the middle of Africa is smarter than all the coaches in the world who train and do this full time? No, fool me once, fool me twice. This is a joke. So I've never thought anything about Kiplimo being dirty, but it's a legitimate question to ask about his agent. And to see these Nike guys and somebody else tapping me on the shoulder, shame on you. Shame on you. Nike, you need to be leading the way. You've got more money, more force, whatever. If you don't want these questions, then don't associate yourself or test them better. Do what Sebastian Sawe of adidas is doing. He's asking to be tested 25 times out of competition before he runs the marathons. He's right now the best marathoner in the world. He's being tested all the time. I believe in Sebastian Sawe. I don't believe in these other people. And when I see that, I didn't think this was a big story. But when I saw them grab him by the shoulder, what is he, a child? He's one of the world's, he's the greatest half marathoner in history. Let him answer the GD question. Rant over.
Very good, Robert. Very good. I was wondering when it came up, like you guys didn't start laughing. You have to see this when the arms come out to his shoulder. But Robert, journalism isn't dead. John asked the question. He answered it. But it is sort of crazy, right? They're like, oh, if you're with the agency, I get it, right? You're just like, oh, don't talk about this. Like, just let's stick our head in the sand, or we don't want people to associate something negative with us. Well, the negative part is like so many of your athletes who you're representing are testing positive. Now that there's a huge doping problem in Kenya, well, throughout the world, but it doesn't seem you're doing anything proactively to stop it because one after another keeps testing positive. It still continues to happen. And what are you doing to try to prevent it? If you're Nike, I think we have seen Sebastian Sawe has changed the game, right? John, what he is doing is revolutionary. 25 tests, was it before Berlin or just around or anytime, and volunteered for it. And I think they're paying for it themselves. That is crazy. Like, that is nuts. But it shows. I don't know why a Nike representative would have any problem with this question. And Nike, yes, I guess you pay his salary, but like, you really have no idea what's questioned or what he answers. You're not. I guess they would consider himself like almost like the owner of a professional sport or something, the marketing person. But like, no, if he's being presented to the media, he determines what he answers. But if you don't want any association with this, do what Adidas is doing. Do something all along. Because for now, like, honestly, since we got involved with this sport, and I'm now 52 years old, sorry, Robert, and people are like, I wish Nike would do more. There was rumors with Athletics West or something. Or do you lead for clean sport, or do you follow along in the wake of others who are trying to make the sport cleaner?
Right. I hope people can hear me a little bit better now. I tried to pick up the gain. If this didn't work, let me know. I'll try to put it in the other direction. But I think it's a reasonable topic of discussion. And remember, like, Federico Rosa athletes, Nike gives them their own singlets. They all wear orange singlets. Like, no other agent has that. It's like their own track club in a way. So, yeah, I think that, is it fair to just totally lump him in with everyone else because he's got the same agent? No, I think you can. I have no doubt that with the number of athletes Federico Rosa represents, a bunch of them are going to be clean. But that is the people are going to say, well, okay, why are you still with this agent? He's got a lot of athletes who are testing positive. Like, have you considered leaving? I think it's a legitimate question to ask. But the other thing, I guess, is like, is there going to be some accountability for someone on this? Because I was talking to another agent, and they were here in Chicago, and they're just saying, like, look, are they sending back the commissions they get on these bonuses they paid out for the winners of the marathon? Like, how many athletes, like, if you've had 5 world marathon majors champions suspended, how many is too many? Is like 7 the point where you just stop getting invited to pro fields, or is it 10? Like, is there a breaking point? And I think that's something you gotta ask. Because I was looking at some of the other pro fields. Like, Chicago's got a couple Rosa clients. They've got Jackob Kiplimo, I think one other in this year's field, but I didn't see any Rosa clients in the Boston elite field from this year, and I don't see any in New York. So it's, I feel like perhaps some of these races are realizing, like, hey, we just don't want to take the PR hit if one of these people tests positive. And is that fair to someone like Jackob Kiplimo, who has never tested positive? I don't know necessarily, but he's also got an agent with all these ties to athletes who tested positive. And I don't think that means that Federica Rosa is actively doping these athletes, but you got to ask, like, is he doing enough to sort of make sure this stuff isn't happening?
But you seem to want to put all the impetus on the agent. What about the races? Let's come up with a list. Which races have had the most people banned? They're inviting these people. They don't care. They have the same numbers we do. So, I mean,
Robert, the races want the top athletes in the world. I don't blame a race for inviting someone because they're not supposed to invite someone because they have the same agent. But I think we need to start pressing back at the Rosa agency and at Nike. Nike should be furious. These athletes ripped Nike off. They were cheating, and Nike paid them hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I guess, is Nike saying, oh, it was worth it because they broke the banner with a Nike singlet on? No, Nike should be furious too. So all these races, here's what it should be for going forward. Legally, I don't think the race can go after Chepngetich's whatever they paid her out from last year. I don't think, maybe you could structure the contract if in the future you test positive, we'll come after the money, or you stagger the money and say, if you test positive anytime, we won't pay the final installments. But I don't know legally how they can get the money back from her. It's gone. She stole it. Assuming all the bans hold up, it's gone. But they could say, look, here's the new rules. If you're an agent and your athlete tests positive in some time frame or whatever you want to do it, and we paid your athlete, we want your commission back. Until you pay it back, you were getting no athletes. None of your athletes will be in our race. Zero, none, because the Rosas have taken their commission on all of these athletes who have taken positive. Some have broken world records. Presumably, the Rosas have made hundreds of thousands of dollars off of this, or the agency. And why not keep going forward? There are literally no repercussions to them. And Nike should also demand, hey, Rosa, the money we paid the athlete, hundreds of thousands, some of them probably get hundreds of thousands of dollars. You get a commission on it too. We want that back as well. Nike should be demanding money back. Like, this is sort of crazy. Like
why?
What?
They sponsored Lance Armstrong for years. What do they care?
Why do they care? Well, they're going to care maybe now if people like us point them out and start calling it out. But
they camouflaged Shailene Flanagan and Galen Rupp shoes and had them racing the Olympics in it. I called it mechanical doping. Everyone thought I was crazy. They don't give a s. They just want to win.
Okay, Robert. Robert, time has changed, right? Women didn't used to get maternity leave in the sport. Now they do because of outside pressure. Winning at all costs used to be acceptable, and now society's saying, look, maybe it's not. Maybe if you give someone a shoe no one has access to and don't really come clean till after the race, that's not fair. So time has changed. Pressure matters. Like, Nike has done more innovative in this sport than anyone in the last 50 years. Let's not cut the BS, right? I think these other shoe companies are now rolling over. They set the standard. We ask our intern, like, hey, one pair of shoes, you have to race. What shoes are going to be? And he said Nike.
Of course.
Because they're pushing the boundaries in performance. but you can push too far. So it's time for rebalancing at Nike. There's a lot of people there, I'm sure, at Nike, internally at Nike, who care about this stuff. So let's push back. Let's push for a clean sport. Let's lead the way. There's some people here very skeptical in these comments, John, about the Sebastian Sawe testing. Do you know how it works? There's a comment here by WZ. 25 tests a year, so a test every 22 weeks. I wonder if they can dope predictably if the tests were on a schedule.
No,
I assume the tests aren't on a schedule like this, but
you can take it. It was 25 tests in the 2 months leading up to the Berlin Marathon.
yeah, so that's a test every 2 days. If you wanted a microdose and then take the test, microdose 2 days later, no, you're gone. Like, God bless you. That's good.
It hasn't. I used to be angry years ago, and then I gave up. Wasn't mad, but when I saw them grab him by the shoulder, for some reason, I just lost it. But yeah, Nike's done an awful lot for the sport. They sponsor practically the entire pro. I mean, look at the medal count at Worlds. Nike 42. You know what fourth was? It was Asics with 8. New Balance had 4. They have 10 times as many medalists as New Balance. New Balance is a drop in the Nike pebble. Adidas had 33, Puma had 25, by the way. All right. The rant is over. I forgot. I mean, if this was a real sport, wouldn't people be calling me to interview? 844 Let's Run, 844-538-7786, online Facebook, online Twitter. I mean, seriously, I haven't done a single interview. Like, our sport is dead. There's no like mainstream coverage. Like, has anyone said last year a woman ran 209? Is there an article in the Chicago paper? Last year a woman ran 209. People questioned it was too good to be true, and it turned out to be that she was a doper. Like, has anyone written that article in the mainstream press? There's even mainstream press coverage of this meet anymore. But
yeah, I haven't seen it. Interested. Yeah, maybe you should interview yourself, Robert.
I will. What about? Okay, let's talk about Galen Rupp. I went on the homepage and there was like, I had to push back. I mean, I put it up. I was in charge of the homepage last night. I'm in charge tonight. Is Galen Rupp done? Chicago Marathon could be his final stand. I was like, where did this come from? I assume that Weldon took part of a small part that you wrote about Galen Rupp in your overall marathon preview and gave it a new headline so that ChatGPT or AI or Google would find it.
Well,
I thought this was
clearly so you would find it. It's essentially with what the article was saying. I'm like, this is interesting. People need to say it. And I didn't say anything to you, and you're talking about it. And if it doesn't go well, I think it's a very legitimate question. He's 39 years of age. He's been injured. But guys, no. He's back. He's talking about his mechanics. It sounds like the Galen Rupp of old, John.
Well,
if he's tinkering with the mechanics, we're back.
They've been trying to fix his mechanics for years, though, and it wasn't working, the last 3 or 4 years. So he seemed in a pretty good mood. He seemed fairly optimistic. But he certainly was like, look, I'm not what I once was because of the training. And he said, I'm healthy, the healthiest I've been in years, which is good for him. He had hip surgery after the trials that sidelined him for a while. He wouldn't say exactly how long, but he didn't race again until this July. And he did a couple tune-up races. Yeah, he thought that perhaps he was a little fitter than those races showed because he's in the midst of a marathon build-up. The aim has been Chicago. He did admit he wanted to run a little faster than the 62:42 he ran at the Philadelphia half marathon on September 21st. But yeah, he wouldn't give a specific time goal. I think his main thing is what we said on the regular podcast earlier this week. If this is the start of something of a consistent 3-year block of training leading up to LA 28, and he made very clear he's committed to running through LA 28. He wants to keep going in the sport. If this is the start of a long, perhaps in a year or two, he might, not be back to vintage Rupp, but he might be a factor in the U.S. scene. Right now, he's not a factor. And I think this Chicago, he's trying to take a step towards showing that he might be soon. So does that, I think if he can run 2:10 or faster, I think that's probably like a good step in the right direction for Rupp.
Yeah, but to be in the contention for 2028, you're going to need to be under 208 for sure.
Yeah.
No, I look. So there's a precedent here for coming back. This is why I refuse to write him off if he gets healthy. Meb Keflezighi, Abdi Abdurrahman. These are some of the best in marathon U.S. history. They both missed a marathon team in their 30s and then made another one. either in their 40s or late 30s and did pretty well. So I'm not writing Rupp off. Um, uh, yeah, I don't. If you've only run 62, it'd be shocking if he broke 208 here. It wouldn't be shocking to me if he goes out in 64 flat with these other group. And does he fade off that? Be really cool if he could run 207. But does that wrap it up for Chicago?
Yeah, let's move to the Femke Bol segment.
Femke Bol, no, let's get to the big story that everyone's been talking about all week, folks. Did J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez, fame, if you think she's an actress or something, did she run a 4:49 mile like Sidious claims she did? Okay, Sidious didn't claim it, but that story's driving me nuts. You know what I'm talking about? J-Lo was on some podcast, and then she was like, "Oh, yeah, I was a track star." I'm like, "Oh, really? What'd you run?" It's like, "Oh, yeah." The guy's like, "Oh, I ran a mile. I ran 4:36. What'd you run?" And she's like, "Oh, 4:49." But she, in the clip, said something about the 1,500. So to me, it was clear that she wasn't claiming she ran a 4:49 mile, even though it said mile. And everyone's like, "She said she ran a 4:49 mile." I'm like, "Not really. If you listen to the whole clip, that's misleading." So anyways, enough J-Lo. It comes out today. John texts me just a link. I think it was a link to Femke Bol's Instagram Reels. I didn't know John was we're paying him to cover Chicago instead of going to the press conference. He's just scrolling Instagram Reels all day. No, just kidding, John.
I'm sorry for alerting you to major track and field news, Robert. You always complain, "Oh, you never text me about this stuff. You just tweeted about it." I tried to give you a tip off, and I'm castigated for it. So thanks a lot.
Yeah. It was a 1 minute, 45-second Instagram Reels, and it was kind of nice. Femke Bol started off saying she's got like this diary that her mom gave her, and she's got like scrapbooks and pictures and goals she had and mantras, and it was it was actually neat. She said that one of her mantras was get comfortable being uncomfortable and push past your fears and limits. Active, aggressive, and take a risk. And then she goes from there to saying, now it's time for a new chapter. I'm moving to the 800 meters. I've learned so much from hurdling, and I really loved it. It will always have a special place in my heart, but I'm ready for the next challenge, a new stimulus, a completely different kind of race. It's different from what I'm used to in the 400-meter hurdles, and I'm really excited to explore that. Then she ended the video by saying, I've always loved this quote. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. And I definitely think that's the case here. I just want to say bravo. Absolutely bravo. I love this. I analyzed it without even asking you guys. I said, wait, let's run or totally think this is amazing because to be an athlete, you got to be motivated. And to be honest, what's going to motivate her in the 400 hurdles? She did not set a personal best this year, but she did win a second world title. But she's miles better than everyone in the world not named Sydney McLaughlin or running. She's won 30 straight Diamond League 400 hurdle races in her life. I mean, she would be like close to Edward Moses type win streak. I know she did lose to Anna Cockle in the Olympics, but it's only because she tried to beat Sydney McLaughlin running. So she's way better than anyone else in the world, but she's not close to Sydney. Now, what's crazy is, I don't know if I'll read my article. Guess how many times Sydney McLaughlin running and Femke Bol have ever raced?
The 2 Olympic finals and the 2022 Worlds.
She raced 3 times.
Yeah.
So she's never beaten Sydney 3 times. But, you didn't PR. Whatever. I can see why that's not exciting for you anymore because unless Sydney gives up on the 400 hurdles, you're not probably going to win that either. So she's like, I want a challenge. I'm going to the 8. And her coach has been trying to get her. I mean, we have videos from 2 years ago. My coach keeps talking about the 8. I'm saying, please no. He's been obviously pushing this on her. And he's won out. And she sounds like she's excited about it. And I just think this is unreal. So, her coach Lawrence Mooley, what do you guys think about this? Are you as excited as I am? I guess John clearly is because he was asking me about the beginning of the show and I was downplaying it, but I am excited about it.
I'm very excited. Now, this isn't a Bobby Kersey type coach. What's his background? He's in pushing the 8. I assume he's done something with the 8 before, the coach. But, I mean, a part of me is sort of weird. She's waving the white flag on the 400 hurdles. But do you blame her? And we've had the Kiwi sort of world record talk. Who knows? She's running Athos tonight. Got to get Athos in there. We have one more track meet tonight. The Athos Women's Only Meet in New York. Alexis Ohanian was on First Take promoting it yesterday. This guy, the other track promoters, if they had 1 ounce of the promotion ability this guy has, it would be great. Now, that didn't translate to necessarily like a sold out audience, but like he's getting it out there and he defended his wife to Stephen A. Smith. Just bravo, dude. Bravo. Like
That clip was awesome.
that was so good because for no one knows what I'm talking about. I guess what at the Super Bowl halftime music, we almost talk much about the Super Bowl halftime as we do the Super Bowl. Super Bowl halftime last year, what, John? Give me the lowdown. Who they
Essentially,
performed?
Serena Williams went out and was like dancing as part of the halftime show in support of Kendrick Lamar, and I guess in his war on Drake. And Drake, did Serena used to date Drake?
Yes,
or
she
used to
dated Drake
dated
previously.
Or did she date Kendrick Lamar and she was supporting it? I couldn't tell if it was one of
No,
those
I think
two.
she dated Drake previously, and then I think
Okay.
Stephen A. or some people essentially said like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! If you're married to her and she's more concerned about her ex, you're just like, And Ohanian didn't forget and said, "Oh, I understand you have some marriage advice for me. So good."
It's a
Whereas these
great
other
clip.
guys, like, Donald Trump insulted like Ted Cruz's wife, and they were all buddy buddy.
Stephen A was flustered, Weldon, which you rarely see Stephen A speechless, but he didn't know how to respond. But anyway,
Yeah,
no,
you have to say something. Maybe these politicians did it in private, but
the Femke Bol news, really excited. You just don't see something like this in track and field. You don't see someone she's 25 years old. She's in her prime. She just won the world title in the 400-meter hurdles. She's the world record holder at 400 indoors. And this isn't, it's not like she's losing a step or anything. She's like, I'm taking on a new challenge. And I absolutely love that. I'm curious what motivated her. Is it just because the 400 hurdles has essentially become boring, that she crushes everyone not named City, McLaughlin, Levroni? Or is it her looking at the Olympics and saying, all right, my best chance is a gold medal? I can either hope that Sydney doesn't run the 400 hurdles there, or she gets injured, or she tries to do the double and taxes herself too much, or I can just move up and take on this totally new challenge. I mean, she'd be an all-time track legend. If she can win a world title in the 400 hurdles and an Olympic gold medal in the 800 meters, or a world title in the 800 meters, I don't think anyone's ever done that in those two events. We've got a comment here, Rose Runner saying, former 400 hurdler Patrick Dobak of Poland, he moves up and medaled in the Olympics in 2021. But Patrick Dobak was not a world champion in the 400 hurdles like Femke Bol is. Femke's the best second best if you count Sydney in her event. She's moving up to something new, and I think her potential is quite high. Like I think world champion is like the ceiling here. So that's going to be, I just love it. I love the boldness of the move. I love the quote that Robert said, that if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. That's a very Sifan Hassan attitude. Her fellow Dutch woman would be proud. That's what the attitude we want from our best athletes. Femke Bol's one of the best athletes in the world. You want them pushing their comfort zones and trying stuff we haven't seen before. So I love this.
This comment here by Matthew. She's only 25. I mean, she gets 10 more years, the 800 easily. I mean, I think your longevity's longer in the 8. I mean, the little Muhammad is showing a lot of longevity in the 400-meter hurdles. And people are saying Kiwi should be scared. I mean, it's just going to be very exciting. Not that this event needed some excitement, but there's one other runner I immediately thought of. Did you guys have the same reaction? Just when you guys heard this, who did you immediately think of? If it's not this runner or Keely.
Part of me thought about Athing Mu and just kind of her journey over the last few years.
Correct, John. That is the correct answer. And, someone with great speed, what can they do in the 800? Well, that is Athing Mu. And Bobby Kersey has stopped her from running the 400. She ran 1:59 this year. I mean, it's just sort of crazy where just how far she's regressed since winning the 2021 Olympics.
But
I hope she can get it back. I mean, she had God's gift of speed, amazing endurance, a wonderful smile. I want to see Athing Mu doing what Femke Bol's trying to do, essentially this event. Just start fresh.
I don't understand why this made you think of Athing Mu. It's the opposite of Athing Mu. Because you're asking for Athing Mu to move down to the 400 and run the 400 hurdles. I mean, but we've criticized Bobby Kersey for doing this. He keeps trying to move Athing Mu up to the 1500. And we're like, why? she's not that runner. So someone could say you're being hypocritical. You're praising Femke Bol is not a 800 runner for moving up, but you're criticizing Mu because I don't think he understands it. The difference to me is this coach, I don't know his experience in terms of everyone he's worked with because he's in the Netherlands, but I think he knows what he's doing. He's coached. I mean, there was another 400 runner that he moved up this year, and she ran like 7 or 800. I think she ran like 202 or something like that, but she's 2 seconds slower than Femke is at 800. So I think he's got more experience at 800, and he's just seen her in practice and thought, oh, she's going to be amazing at this. Whereas with Athing, she was setting NCAA records in the 400. It just doesn't make sense. Like if you're that fast in the 400, you're normally not that good in 50. Athing was better than we thought, but I love this because there's no downside to it. You know, you say that Olympic gold or could be a possibility. It could, but the coach also, if he's not that experienced, he doesn't really know until she's done the training. I mean, you've got to do oxygen uptake and hell, can I send him some workouts? I've got some great workouts to move people up from the 400, 800. And we did experience, but he's not going to know until she really trains in the 800. He's seen flashes. He thinks she can be good. To be honest, we put up a poll and let's run. How fast will she run? I think this is overstating it. 20% of people are saying a world record. I think there's a less than 20% chance that the 153.28 world record is broken by anyone in the next 5 years. So I think that's too high. 33% are saying 153 to 154, and then 35% are saying 155 to 156. So, and only 12% think she'll run slower than 157. I definitely think she's going to run faster than 157. I mean, yeah, but it's going to take her a while. Well, maybe not. Patrick Dubé, as we said, the 400 hurdle, he moved up and immediately medaled the first year. He had run like a couple 800s as a youth, but he ran 143 the first year and won an Olympic medal. So it shouldn't take that long because you don't need that great of endurance in the 800, to be honest. So,
Right.
back
She's
to
in,
career, when I was at the Diamond Dominant, 13 Ivy League titles in 10 years at Cornell, indoor and outdoor track. We had a number of guys. Most Ivy League runners in the 400 are not like going to be making NCAA's 800. They were pretty good in the 400. They thought, okay, I'm going to go try to run the 8. And they did pretty good, but they weren't like world beaters at it. But I always claim the 400 hurdles is the closest to the 800. I actually think a 400 hurdle, someone who's got good endurance and you've kind of seen some flashes of it, I think they have a better shot of being good at the 8 than a pure 1500 meter guy coming down.
Yeah, we've seen a few athletes make this move before. Brandon Johnson also did it in the US a few years back. But Robert, the Athing Mu comparison, I'm sorry, you're saying we're criticizing Athing Mu for doing like 1500 and not criticizing Femke. It's different because we're criticizing Athing Mu and Bobby Kersey because Bobby Kersey thinks that training her as a 1500 runner is the best way to maximize her potential in the 800. And this is a woman who was the Olympic champion at 19, training as a 4.8 runner and one of the most naturally talented 400 runners the US has ever seen. That's why we criticize it, because that doesn't make any sense if you're trying to be the best you can be at the 800. If she had said, I feel like I've completed what I wanted to do in the 800, I've won the 15, sorry, I've won the Olympic titles, I'm moving up to the 15, I think we still would have questioned it and said, well, you're so good at the 400, why wouldn't you go to that one? But it's not the same comparison here. Femke Bol's not saying, I'm going to run more 800s because I think it's going to make me a better 400 meter hurdler. She's just moving to the new event completely.
Okay, well, that's one thing I would say is there's also no downside. It's not like she can't move back to the 400 hurdles. Does it for a year or two if she's not world class, if she's not contending for medals. The problem is in the 8, it's harder, I think, because there's, 4 or 5 women, almost anyone in the final has a shot at a medal. And the 400 hurdles, not everyone in the final really has a good shot at the medal. But she can always move back, and hell, she could even double if they change the schedule around. I did see an interesting development, people like, what's going to happen to the 4x4s? They said it's kind of hard to run on the 4x4s if you're also in the Dutch 4x4s, if you're in the 800, because 800 is normally later. I mean, where is it in the schedule, John? I guess it varies sometimes. But first of all, I think she'll find time to be able to. It'll be interesting to me, does she skip out on the 4x4s? I would think she would have time to either run the mixed 4x4 at the beginning of the championships or the regular one at the end. And I hope she does continue to do that. because I don't really think the 800 is going to kill her 400-meter speed.
Well, that is interesting, right? Because like Athing Mu is running grade 400s and grade 800s at the same time. And so yeah, could she still do both? Sounds like she's giving it up, John. That's more what the statement is saying, giving up the 400 hurdles. But does she now? If the goal is Olympic gold, there's no guarantees here, guys. There's a thread here by the Social Security Administration is posting on here. Then she's saying Femke only has 1/800. It's comparing her 200 time to her 400 time. Anyway, when she was younger, essentially speculating. I think she's more of a 200, 400 runner like Sydney than a 400, 800
No
runner.
chance.
Okay,
I saw that post. Based on the times, he thinks she's more 200, 400 runner than 4.8. I admittedly, I know nothing about her coach other than I feel like there's no way in hell they would just make this this decision blindly. I guess you could say Bobby Kersey may have done it blindly, but I feel like he's been saying this for years when she was at the peak of her prowess, that she would be a great 100-meter runner. So the idea that she's a better 2.4 runner to me than 4.8, I think that's, I don't believe that. I'd be stunned if she's not at least like.
Now, does the LA Olympics just make it easy for Sydney now? You put the 400 first. She gets a clean sweep at that. There's going to be no one who's going to be in the 400 hurdles now. There's literally like no competition. It's the weakest event to begin with when Sydney's not there or there's no one to even challenge Femke. It's like there's so few women running under like 54 seconds. It's crazy.
Well, we got 3 years for someone to emerge, so maybe they'll be. I mean, I don't think we're going to get someone on Sydney's level, but maybe
we had
Sutherland.
We had Sutherland from Canada break Sydney's NCAA record this year.
Yeah,
I guess there's a vacuum, something fills it usually. So, kind of more of I don't know, just
okay.
And one other thing
hundreds of
pointing out is
people.
like buy a car makes the extra distance easier. I'm 100% on board with that. These people are just blasting times in these mid distances. So I don't know if Sydney uses buy car, but it's not like she's also just going from the 400. She's going from the 400 hurdles. I think that energy system, the ability to hurdles, that sort of stuff. There's obviously more endurance involved. Oh man, does that mean what could Sydney run for 800?
Do you imagine that? Sydney just decides like she's moving up to the 800 for LA 2028 as well.
I mean
so what's it?
Wild. Yeah,
yes or no?
Don't point out. Sage Hurtaklecker just ran a 155. Like, no offense to Sage Hurtaklecker, but like, we didn't see that happening. I just think there's no guarantees for Femke in this. There's a chance. There's just no guarantees that any 400-meter hurdler can move up to 800 and be really good.
Correct. But I mean, you guys think
we're trying it? It's exciting for distance fans. Obviously, our site's mainly a distance running site. So,
over under greater or lesser than 50% chance that she medals an 800 in her life.
I mean,
I just think based on world history, it has to be less than 50%.
Yeah, 3 years from now, you don't know. I mean, we had 3 women run 154 in Tokyo, so I would say less than 50%.
But she certainly can do it, and as I said in the article, like totally understand why she's doing it. Olympic gold, world record, yes. Like dream big. Right now, there's no reason not to dream. Now, I'm under the impression though, like we're gonna find out quick. I don't want to hear it's gonna take years to figure this out. No, we're gonna find out real quick whether she's got the potential.
Right. Now, I think on the thread I saw a reference. Remember Gwen Jorgensen?
Olympic champion. This is different.
Olympic champion triathlon, went to the marathon. I think there even a body of work, you just know that's not going to work. Like she thought she was just going to waltz into the marathon and be a world beater and wasn't. She must have gotten a lot of money to at least even try it from sponsorship. But She was trying to make the Olympic team in the relay, right? This last time for triathlon, didn't even make that. I mean, her career's pretty much over, right? Does she even? Is it officially over?
I commend Gwen for going for it. She wanted a new challenge. There's more money in running than Nike. I mean, than triathlon. But the difference is here, Femke did a masterful job of this. If you haven't seen the Instagram Reels, we'll link to it in the show notes for those of you listening on the Supporters Club podcast. By the way, if you're one of the hundreds listening live, you should join the Supporters Club. That means you're a track and field junkie. You get this as a podcast. Audio's leveled out. Everything's great. Let'sRun.com/subscribe. But it was amazing Instagram Reels. It talked about the challenge. It had the diary. It had the photos. Had her coach. It was wonderful. But there was no talk of, I'm going to be the Olympic champion. There was Gwen Overs talked. And you got to keep those. You could dream of being the Olympic champion, whatever. It would be interesting, like, to see. I'm sure she'll open up more about this, Sydney, Femke, like, what aspect of this was it just a new challenge? Was she tired of losing? Although I guess she didn't lose this year. Like, what was the most motivating? But it's going to be cool. It's going to be fun. Gives us something to look forward to next year. All right. If you're listening live, anything else? We'll do Mailbag Friday. What else should we talk about?
Well, I mean, this is impressive. We've done an hour 20. We'll have to talk about though. But yeah, is there more to talk about? Because I have one topic we need to go back to from Chicago.
I have nothing else to talk about. I'm starving. I haven't had lunch yet.
John, there's a huge topic of conversation from Chicago.
Okay.
Putting something on the screen here. Does anyone notice anything? Robert, what do you notice about this picture here? There's 5 athletes on the screen for those listening at home.
They self-segregated. The 3 from Africa on the left and the 2 Mormons are on the right.
Rory Linkletter is wearing the most Canadian outfit I've ever seen. He's got the Canadian tuxedo and then a magnificent mullet. It's awesome.
Yes, this is true. For those watching, Rory Linkletter's wearing jeans, a jean jacket. He's got a mullet, little mustache. I mean, this looks like I don't know. I don't go to Canada this much. So people in Canada still dress. This looks like, 1980s America.
Canadians, we have a lot of supporters members in Canada. I ship in their shirts all the time. I've never understood why it costs the same to ship a shirt to Canada as to Australia, or almost as much. I want to apologize. I've never thought of Canadians as being like cowboys. What? I think of Canadians kind of as like, sort of like Toronto type, like East Coast, like elite liberals. I've never thought of them as like this.
Oh, you need to go out west. No, Canada, look, wearing the jean jacket and jeans, that's called the Canadian tuxedo. And mullets, that's a long-standing thing. Canada, hockey players, that sort of thing. I asked him about it, Rory, and he said, look, I'm being invited to speak at the press conference of a World Marathon major. Not many Canadians are invited onto the stage. I figured I might as well rep my country. And he looks about as Canadian as you possibly can. So I love Canada. I love our friends to the north. And I thought it was awesome. And he's going for the Canadian record on Sunday. So I thought it was a good way to kick off the weekend.
I got some interesting updates. I guess John and Weldon are right. I apologize. This is I type in Rory Linkletter, where he's from. This shows up on the far right-hand side of Google. So I don't know if Google's writing this. It drives me nuts when these bots don't tell you where they're getting the information from. Calgary, a cosmopolitan Alberta city with numerous skyscrapers. Was this rapid growth to assess center of Canada's oil industry? However, it's still steeped in the Western culture that earned it the nickname Cowtown, evident in the Calgary Stampede, its massive July rodeo, and festival that grew out of the farming exhibitions once presented here. Wow, Cowtown. Weldon used to live in Cowtown. My father's from Cowtown, the U.S. version of Cowtown. That is Fort Worth, Texas. And this is why I never paid attention to Texas. I didn't realize why I wasn't ignoring this aspect of Canada, because obviously they're competing with Texas to be like the 51st state. Like Texas, we were the best state when I lived there. And then Canada's been trying to let Trump let them in as the 51st state, but they haven't been successful yet.
And Robert has to just hack everyone off. They don't even take that as a joke. It's like,
I just apologize to the Canadians. No, I dig them, and they're upset about it.
Yes, they'll be very upset. And probably not going to come to support it. We had so many Canadians at Supporters Club meetup. Now they're all not going to come next time.
Yeah, come on, man. I mean, I love Canada. I certainly don't view it as the 51st state, and I hope it does.
It was
I
more
hope
a
they
dig at
stay in
Trump, I
true
think.
north, strong and free. So, go Canada.
John keeps looking up. Is there like a Nike handler there, John, getting ready to like
No,
to
there's no
take
one
you to
here.
oh. Well, here's some John. John and I have a good friend that works at Nike. We need to apologize. I went on that rant.
What do you mean? We're helping Nike out. Like,
It was
we praise
great to
Nike
have
and we
that
criticize
passion.
them. Like,
Can
this
I
has been
say
an
one other
obvious
thing about
dig. They
Nike?
have. They've brought people in from their past roots, right? So there's nothing wrong with nostalgia for the past, but what are we learning? Just because you say, "Oh, there was like good things in America in like 1960," doesn't mean you support racism or something like that, or 1920 or whatever it is. Like, you can say, "Oh, Nike was doing some really good things back in the day," but like turning a blind eye to doping in the sport wasn't one of them. Like, keep making great products, get back to your kick-ass marketing, and say, "Hey, we're for clean sport." And people are like, "Yay, go Nike!"
Does anyone else bother when
My
right
wife
after
just bought a pair of Nikes with her own coin.
right after Cooper Luckenhouse ran that 142, like the first guy he's fist bumping is the Nike rep, Paul Mosher. I was like, can't we just let a 16-year-old enjoy the moment for a moment?
Well, I thought the reason they were celebrating with Cooper Luckenhouse this stuff because they were the only people he knew. Like his family wasn't right there at the finish, so he knew those guys and celebrated, and he needed someone to hug. It's totally fine.
His coach was there. I mean, I get it, but I'm just saying it's not like be a little bit more pure. Hey, shoe reps, we know you're listening, and we're about to celebrate our 25th year. We need an official shoe. If you want to be the official shoe of Let'sRun.com, give us a call, 844-LET'S-RUN, 844-538-7786. Hit extension 3. I'll negotiate the deal. We'll be signed by
Nike should do it. Nike should do it. It would shock people's system, but they're for performance, we're for performance. They would
Okay.
have immediate reputational, perfect integrity.
Plus, I could tell them which athletes not to sponsor. I could save them easily, like a couple million a year. Just don't sponsor this person. They're obviously a doper. Don't sponsor this
Robert,
person.
that's the dumbest thing. You don't know who's obviously doping, so please come on. The
Oh,
whole
I've
point of
gotta-
this was saying we think you even said you think Jackob Kiplimo is clean. So like you can still have guilt by association even if you're doing it the right way. It's just like at some point there needs to be some accountability for some of these people who are profiting. If you profit from illicit gains, at some point in society, you're held responsible for those gains.
John,
If
can we get a list
right?
of the 5 marathon majors that have been suspended? Winners.
Well, I know it's Ruth Chepngetich, Lawrence Chirono, Sarah Chepchirchir, Jemima Sumgong, Rita Cheptu. I think that's the list.
Are they all Nike athletes?
I believe so.
Wow.
Some guy here in the comments as we're doing this. Some guy saying, "Imagine if you guys were Nike during these podcasts." Oh, I've got a pair of Adidas shoes on, but walking around town, I must say Nike's it's in California, man. I'm wearing it a lot. My kids are wearing it a lot. Why would we want to take down Nike? Like,
Nike's done a lot of good things for the sport.
yeah,
I just
they
think
like just
Weldon is
because
saying
like
they're
you
in a
criticize
position
them,
of
you know, you think it's some. It's really not some evil empire. Sorry, John.
they're in a position of power and to have a real impact by, in this sort of situation. And that's what Weldon's asking for. All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in to Jumbo Size Friday 15. If you're listening to this as a Supporters Club member, thank you. If you are not listening as a Supporters member, you're live. Maybe consider joining. If you like this, we do this every week. We're always on site at the big marathons, the big races, and we'll do our live shows. So thank you for listening and looking forward to a great Chicago Marathon on Sunday. So talk to you after that.
Robert's showing off his Burrito Club track shirt. I don't think those are in the shop anymore, but go to shop.letsrun.com. Actually, I can probably throw that up here on the screen. Let's see if this new thing works. Want to go get a t-shirt? There you go. There's your QR code.